In a recent appearance on Australian television, pink-haired, self-described sex educator Deanne Carlson said that parents should ask babies for their consent before changing their diapers. The intent, she said, is to foster a culture of consent for babies who would be, of course, in deep trouble if they actually need to supply consent for anything. That's obviously crazy. But that doesn't mean it won't happen or become the law in this country. And so to check on what the future is going to look like, we bring, as always, our liberal Sherpa, Kathy Aru, to join us. She's the founding publisher of Catalina Magazine. Kathy, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So consent for diaper changing from babies. This raises, leaving aside whether it's a good idea, it raises the obvious practical question. Yeah. How would a baby give consent?
Well, the idea isn't exactly, the baby's not exactly going to say yes or no, but she's saying give the baby a few moments, talk to the baby, say, is it okay, I'm going to change your nappy, because she's Australian, so that's how they say diapers. Yeah. Can I change your nappy?
That's an American baby.
I don't think the American baby would understand, but it's actually just teaching consent, what consent is. It's teaching bodily autonomy. It's teaching, hey, I'm not going to touch your body if you don't want me to. It's just like talking to a baby about anything. Mommy loves you, daddy loves you. So people talk to babies all the time. So why wouldn't the concept of talking to a baby while doing something so serious as, you know, changing a diaper be so ridiculous? Sounds
because
quite
you
normal.
Don't typically expect a baby to respond in a way that you can understand. Again, how do you know what consent looks like? So let's just do a little role playing if we could. You be the baby, I be the parent.
Okay, and you're changing my diaper.
And I say, I'm going to make this change. And how do you express your consent or lack of consent for that?
Well, if I start crying, something's wrong. So you probably don't want to do anything at that moment because you wouldn't want to make diaper changing something that goes along with crying. You would probably want me to be in a healthy state of mind so that in the future, when it comes to those private things, I'd be in a healthy state of mind. I'd be a well-adjusted adult. So a well-adjusted baby would be a well-adjusted adult.
But maybe the child's crying because his diaper is dirty.
Right, obviously, yeah. So, I mean, the parent would have to be the best judge of that, but I guess if you would make me cry, if you asked me if I wanted you to and then I started crying, then maybe you should get a hint, take the hint.
Would it be like an eye gesture? Like, I mean, you're a mom. Do your kids... I mean, can you read their facial expressions and know that they're saying what they're saying?
It's super healthy. Erickson said, an expert, a baby expert, that from 0 to 2 are the trust years. So during these trust years, you want the baby to trust you. So there's nothing wrong with talking to a baby and those situations, just teaching a baby how to trust. So this is a moment where you're teaching a baby to trust you. So I don't think the baby is expected to necessarily give consent. You're just teaching the baby to trust you. You're asking the baby to express bodily autonomy. I think that's the big point.
Right. Here. Babies they're not super great at understanding English in my experience of having a number of them.
But this is how they learn
maybe
English.
Other babies are more intelligent than mine were. But what if the child keeps saying no, like over a period of weeks? And you keep going in there, I'd really like to change the diaper, but the child refuses to give me consent. At some point, that becomes neglect, right? And also nasty.
I think it's the concept of teaching the consent, talking about it. During that moment, so many parents do not discuss it, and the babies grow up, and in the English language, they're not even used to talking about those things. So the concept is teaching trust. It's trust issues.
But you don't really discuss anything with a baby. I mean, it's in the same sense.
You discuss everything with the baby.
You may talk to your dog,
I'm going to touch your arm. I'm going to put this lotion on your arm. You talk about everything. I'm going to dress you. Parents talk to babies all day long. I'm going to cook dinner for you.
What about a polio vaccine? Should you, or
you're going to have
smallpox?
Yes, you're going to get a vaccine. I mean, dead people have to give consent. That you can't give organs if you don't give consent, right? So if you have consent, even dead people can make decisions. Why can't babies? So from birth,
dead people can make decisions. How do they do that?
Well, you have to give consent to have the organs taken after you die. So if you can give consent from a baby year to your death, people should always give consent if their body is going to be touched.
Right. So if the child says, no, I don't want, the baby indicates by crying or rolling his eyes, I don't want a polio vaccine, then you just don't get him a polio vaccine then.
I think it's the idea of discussing it with the baby. The consent, I don't think, is necessarily the issue. It's the idea.
Oh.
You're developing trust.
So even if the baby says no, no doesn't really mean no, is what you're saying.
The baby can't talk during the diaper
Right.
years.
So with babies, no doesn't mean no. I totally get that. Where does the obedience part come in? Is there any part in the relationship with your child where the child learns to obey what you say? Or is it always kind of a give and take, a colloquy with a mute person?
This is about conversation, talking to the baby. It's conversation. It's not disciplining. These aren't the discipline years, as child experts.
Is there a point where the baby says, Mom, please stop talking? You talk
or
too much.
Dad,
Just go ahead and change the diaper. I don't think most dads would go for this, but I mean,
okay.
whatever. Maybe Dad. I don't know. Hey,
right.
Parents, stop talking. Just go ahead and change it.
Exactly. I don't think these are the years that the baby would be able to respond, but it's just getting the concept of, I'm touching your body. You have bodily autonomy. You should always have the right to say yes or no if someone's going to touch your body, and I'm going to teach that concept right now during the trust years, which is
I like
0
the
to
concept
2.
that kids do what they're told. That's my favorite concept for kids. You just sort of do what we tell you to do. Kathy Aru, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
Good.
There's an expert in Britain. I love what now passes for being an expert. It's pretty spectacular. This is an expert in Britain trying to explain that parents should ask babies for permission to change their diapers. There's a sexuality expert and author named Diane Carlson, and she was speaking to ABC News in Australia, and she was asked what age clients she works with. She said, we work with children from 3 years old. We work with parents from birth. And then Carlson explains exactly what she means by that.
We work from children from 3 years old. We work with parents from birth.
From birth?
Yeah. Just about how to set up a culture of consent in their home. So I'm going to change your nappy now. Is that okay? Of course, the baby's not going to respond. Yes, Mum, that's awesome. I'd love to have my nappy changed. But if you leave a space and wait for body language and wait to make eye contact, then you're letting that child know that their response matters.
No. Okay, as a parent of two, as a parent of a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, one of them is out of diapers and the other one who will soon be out of diapers, I hope. Okay, here's the truth. If you leave your kids to decide when they want their diapers changed, they will have diaper rash forever. Forever. Okay, if I let my 2-year-old son explain to me when he wants his diaper changed, first of all, he's really smart, so he actually does. Like, he as soon as he goes to the bathroom, he immediately tells us. Like, right then, he says, okay, pee-pee, poo-poo, whatever, and then we go and change him. But my daughter was not so much like that, right? When she was very young, she was also a clean freak, and so when she was a little baby, she would not eat until she had been changed. But as she got older, because kids do this, she started getting angry when you would change her diaper. And my son is starting to get to that age now, too, where he gets mad when you change his diaper. He doesn't want his diaper changed. He thrashes around on the changing table. You know what you have to do? Force your kids to change their diaper if you're not an idiot. But apparently, being an idiot is an actual qualification for being an expert on parenting on national TV. Now, listen, I don't want to stereotype this woman, Diane Carlson. I don't know if she has kids. I don't know who does her hair, but this is dumb. Okay, this is incredibly dumb, and it's amazing what constitutes expertise. Now, the parenting experts know so little about what actually happens with regard to parenting. So many of them are basing it off of bad social science or based on these tiny uncontrolled studies that a lot of what they have to say is just absolutely counterintuitive. And then they claim that they are experts in science first, and these religious parents who do things like change their kids' diapers without their kids' permission. You're violating consent. You're part of rape culture if you change your kids' diaper or some such nonsense.
Speaking of annoyances, we want to get your thoughts on this gentleman. A relationship expert called Diane Carlson has come out overnight and said parents should ask their babies for permission before they change their nappies. Have a listen to this first.
Oh, God, next subject.
I'm going to change your nappy now. Is that okay? Of course, the baby's not going to respond. Yes, Mum, that's awesome. I'd love to have my nappy changed. But if you leave a space and wait for body language and wait to make eye contact, then you're letting that child know that their response matters.
Oh, God. Oh.
Jeff.
Next subject.
No, Jeff, seriously
Well,
here.
I tell you what, this is a subject on which Mark is much better qualified.
Yes, expert.
Mark, what
Over
would you
here.
like to say about this lady?
Well, it's the equivalent of talking to yourself. Because having changed hundreds of nappies in my time, the baby never answers back. And I'm afraid the young lady there talking to herself should be locked up. This is certifiable insanity. Just change the baby's nappy. If the baby's got poo and wee in the nappy, help your kid instead of this delusion that somehow the 3-month-old infant is going to talk back. It is cuckoo.
There is the voice of honesty and truth.
I cannot believe you two